returned. Here we go. Right now we're going to do the kind of terrain of this graveyard, the little hills, what have you. And in case you're fascinated, I was able to figure out a workaround for the capacitive touch thing. On the sensor that I did have, it was just always too sensitive. There was some hope of maybe pulling off one of the capacitors on the board, which I did do. And even with no like the idea was that with a like a smaller capacity capacitor, it would be less sensitive. But I took the capacitor off and I just tried it with no capacitor at all, and it still was too sensitive. But there was kind of a workaround, not even using that board at all. This was just using a basically just like one resistor on the Arduino board, and it can handle everything, and it's like so much nicer. You can kind of program the sensitivity of it. It's just like, I'm very grateful that that was there. But we're not going to worry about that right now, because I need to get the terrain part done so that we can give it time to dry and then continue the other stuff in a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to use like a flour clay, I think that's what it's called. So it's basically like flour, salt, and water. That's kind of it. So I have the recipe over here. Let's see. What do we need? We need flour, salt, vegetable oil, and water. So let me go grab those things. All right. Mixing bowl, spoon. We're finishing off quite a lot of containers, so bear with me. Alrighty, so let's see what we have here. We need 1 cup of salt. So let's see, I already finished off this one pretty much. So, you're done. New salt. It's strange how salt was kind of like such a valuable thing back in the day, and now it's basically, it's not worthless, but it's like the cheapest thing you can buy at a grocery store. Like, no one's like, oh, that salt was so expensive. I don't think I've ever paid more than like $1. Oh, that's a lot of dust. I don't want to breathe in salt dust. Okay. Yeah, a little bit more. 1 cup salt. Next, 2 cups flour. It's like baking. Well, this one might actually be just enough. Let's see. There was a spoon in there. Convenient for mixing. Come on. And that's right exactly 2 cups. Okay, so in case you're wondering where that spoon was. Okay, 2 cups of flour, and then how much? That's some vegetable oil. I don't know why, but we'll do it. 2 tablespoons. Let me grab that. So I think we're supposed to actually mix the flour and salt first. It's real gritty. They do not mix super well, actually. They're just kind of like different consistencies. Let's see. That's pretty good. I think. Add the oil. Cool. So 2 tablespoons of oil. And put this maybe mix this oil up first. I'm not really sure. And then slowly add water until it's a clay-like consistency. Man, it's gloppy though. Yeah. So good with you guys. Thank you very much. And let's grab some water. Alright, this is likely too much. I think, what does it call for? Let's see. 3/4 to 1 cup. So, should not use all that flour. I do want it kind of thicker. I do want it to kind of like hold its shape relatively well. Let's try adding 1/2 cup. We're getting clumpy. Ooh. I wouldn't call it clay at this point. Kind of reluctant to touch it. I just know that because there's so much salt in there, it's just gonna eat into my hands. So we'll do this as quickly as possible. It's also kind of late. It's a late night stream. I feel like the more water I add, the longer it's going to take to dry too, so gotta strike a good balance here. Again, thrilling content we got right here. Stir, 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 stir. We're getting pretty close. It's kind of goopy, but I feel like it's not quite going to stay together yet. I might end up using all this water. Sheesh. Over here, it seems drier on that side. Oh yeah, we're getting close. This is about right. Dropping some little bits here and there. Oh boy. It's thick. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more. Please don't end up being the straw that breaks the camel's back here. I don't know how it could. It's just so thick. Ooh. Mixing. It should be like at a gym, just like sit at a table like this and just mix up some goop. But yeah, I think that's about it. It's almost like frosting, except it tastes like garbage. So, done with that water. I don't want to put too much on. I don't want this to be like massively heavy, but I do want to put a little bit in. Let's see. I guess gotta get my hands dirty at some point. Yeah. Let's see. How am I gonna start this? Maybe use the spoon. And I guess just grab a handful and start smushing. It does feel kind of nice. Yeah, hopefully it actually sticks to this. That'd be bad if it, what if it just like fell off? And luckily it's not going to be like up on a wall or something. And the reason I thought about doing this was because I made like I think I said earlier, like a project when I was in 7th, 8th grade or something like that. I had to make, like everyone had to make like a country. Like everyone was sort of in charge of making kind of like a country and out of like a model of the country and talking about the climate and blah blah blah. Anyway, I was Greece, so I had to make Greece out of this stuff, and I want to say it's still up on the wall at my parents' house. So this this clay really does stand the test of time. I wonder if the salt is an like important part of the structure of it, or if it's just to keep it from like molding, because I feel like it was just clay and water. It's like almost like bread. If you're making like sculptures out of bread, they would turn pretty quickly. I don't know. I might need more. I feel like I'm just kind of blopping it down around here, but this might not be quite enough. But luckily, there's more flour, more salt. Let's see. So yeah, the goal is to kind of have it be a little bit higher, you know, like between these holes, and then kind of slope down into them. I feel like I probably should add a little bit more water. It's a little thick. It's not like sculpting in quite the way that I was expecting it to. This might just end up being a giant mess. No, it's fun. It's gonna be great. The salt is getting to me though. It is kind of making every little tiny cut on my hands start to sting. This is the not fun part about this. Maybe I should have worn gloves. Come on. I'm not sure. I wonder if I should have maybe started just on one side and then moved over, because I wonder if it's gonna, I guess it doesn't really dry that quickly. It's pretty, if I remember correctly, it took days to dry. So that's kind of why I wanted to get it done tonight, just because if it's going to take that long to dry, you know, I want to be able to work on this weekend. That's maybe on Sunday. This will be an excuse to like take Saturday off. Maybe it'll be kind of nice. Oh, I'm not hating the way this is turning out. I just wish it didn't like stick to my hands. I wish it could just like, maybe if I get my hands a little bit wet, maybe then it'll kind of smoosh off of them a little bit easier, because it just wants to like stick on my hands, not on the board. I should have put whatever the secret ingredient of M&M's melts in your mouth, not in your hands. Whatever that was, I should have put it in here. I do kind of want to cover up these foil sections just so it doesn't look so like computery. I believe I'll also maybe add some paint to this later. I'll probably spray paint the whole thing black before I put on the grass, just so it doesn't shine through as green. I guess I could have dyed this, but that would have just ended up being a food coloring disaster, and I would have stained my skin and everything I touch for the next week. But yeah, here we go. This is kind of nice. I think just having this stuff, come on, stick. I guess you have to really kind of smush it in there, stick it on there. It does not want to stick on the foil. I think it'll just have to kind of rest over it, but I can get it to stick everywhere else around the foil. Whew. You can just like feel the salt. It really is stingy. But it's not that bad. It's just, it's noticeable, but manageable. I'm gonna try getting my hands wet. Okay, wet hands. What do you... Oh, wet hands, man. You get it done. Oh, and it's like smoothing it. Wet hands. Yes. I'm going to get like a thing of water. I think I should just have... This is the wet hands only zone. That really smooths it out nicely. So yeah, stick it on there with dry hands, I guess, just to kind of get it sticky. And then wet, smooth it down. Oh, this is gonna look so nice. I love it. It's so salty. I guess you should probably run it all the way to the edges, lest it look crummy. That'd be the worst thing in the world, right? Is if it just, it's like, oh, it looks meh. Hey, this is my ASMR video. I'm gonna be smushing clay on a piece of wood. I don't think it'll like dry. I think it'll just be like, get it wet again, you're good to go. But yeah, I probably should go all the way up to these edges here, just so it's not like clearly a section where it ends. I'm giving advice as if I've done this. I mean, I have done this before, but it was 15 years ago. But I think it's not super hard to master. Or at least not super hard to get like 80% there. I don't want to make the little hills too big, because I think the thicker the clay is, the longer it'll take to dry. And that's a luxury I do have, but I want it to be done too. Yeah, I might have to smooth that out a bit later, but okay, let's smush you over here. Ugh. Is it better to like, see, I put too much over there. I think I might have to make more clay in a bit, but for now, let's see what we can do with just what we have. Just what's living here. Smishy, smishy. It's the gluten. I think that's what's strange about this clay, is it really does kind of like stretch and stick quite a bit. But the camera sync is better. I say now, knock on wood. I wonder if I got the wood wet first. Will this stick on it better? No, it will not. Yeah, so I think dry hands kind of like rough it out, get it kind of working the way you want. But yeah, I think you have to really kind of smish it right into the wood there. I should have maybe like sanded this, or maybe drilled some like little holes first so it really sticks. That time has passed, but next time I'll draw some little teeny holes. I think that'll help this really stick on there. I'm definitely going to need more. But yeah, maybe I'll just do what I can with what's here. And then flip the board and do the other side. I forgot about the little gravestones. I just remembered that it would have been nice to stick them in this, but I think I have quite a bit of drying time. I can maybe go grab some tomorrow. See, you don't need to be over here. I mean, again, worst case, I don't think this is like tremendously tough. I think I can kind of smush, or like maybe use like a spoon or something and kind of scrape out a little divot to hide a gravestone, or even just get my fingers wet again and just kind of do it that way. Yeah, I might even need 2 more batches. I feel like that might be a little too much, but we're getting in that direction though, at least. So it would be nice to have a little bit more terrain here. So I feel like graveyards, I guess in real life they're usually pretty flat, but like when you think of a graveyard, you're like, oh, it's gonna be like spooky and hilly, and there's like craggy trees and other things like that. So I think the idea for this one is more like the idea of a graveyard instead of like a literal copy of one. I should get some trees though. Although it might make the game a little bit hard to play if you have to kind of like reach around these big clunky trees. Maybe some little bushes. Maybe I'll wait until like there's a lot of like actual necessary stuff to get done first. I'll do that and then I'll worry about the little nitpicky fun bits. I feel like if I got the clay a little bit wetter, that would suit me as well, so it's not so sticky. And I also, now that I think about it, I hope this isn't super conductive. Although, there'll be paint on this, and I feel like the point of the game is to not touch the board at all. Especially the little holes in the middle, but in general, like you want to kind of be like reaching over it. smells kind of bad. I don't know what that is. We'll find out soon. It's not this. It might just be like one of those like little bad smell clouds that just kind of floats through, and you're like, where did you come from, bad smell cloud? The salt doesn't like corrode this metal either. I guess copper doesn't corrode, but it does oxidize. I wonder if this will speed up that process or if we'll be good to go. Again, lots of these things we'll just kind of see in the morning. What happened? Luckily, it's super duper hot out and relatively dry in this climate, so I think this will probably dry a little quicker than you might expect. And luckily, like, it's not like mostly done, but pretty much, I mean, now that I think about it, there's quite a lot left to do, but it's pretty much just adding the lights in onto the bottom here and building the box around it. But all those pieces are already cut relatively well. I did some just like quick measuring at Home Depot and had them cut it, and that was very helpful. But it's not tremendously precise. Yeah, I wonder if I should stop where I am now here. Yeah, this stuff's already like drying over here. Ugh. But yeah, I need more clay. I just need more. So we'll do more measuring after I dry my hands. So I think for this next one, I'm going to do like a 1.5 so of what I did here. I think that'll be enough to kind of build this up a little bit more and get all the way to the edges here. So that will require opening a new flower. Of all these things. I don't think I've ever gone through an entire thing of salt in one sitting. So 1 cup. I'm gonna do just a regular batch first because I'm not 100% sure I have another cup of flour in here or another cup of salt. But let's see. If I can get 1.5, then we're good. That's fine. Oh yeah, I can do it. Another half or so. I don't think this is a tremendously, like I don't think the exact measurements are like that precise here. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? 1 more flour. Ooh, this bowl might not be big enough. And the vegetable oil. 3 tablespoons of this. 1, 2, 3. More water. Honestly, like, now this looks like too much. Maybe once it, like, spreads out, it won't look like too much, but it's like, yikes. This looks like a ton. Now the mixing. I wonder if I should do this by hand, although I kind of want to keep my hands out of the salt as long as I can. We'll need to lotion up after this, I bet. We're getting there. We'll definitely need more water, though. Whew. It's a lot of kind of like arching over here. Kind of, my back is getting a little sore. Destroy the computer with these salty, goopy hands. Okay, definitely need more water here. Oh, that sound. It's, I mean, it's interesting. Man, why did this get so goopy? Did I miss something? Maybe if I just keep mixing it and stop worrying about it. Like, it looks like milk. Ugh. And I did notice this is unbleached flour, and this one was bleached. So I'm curious if there's like a color difference. Let me open these guys up. Ugh. I have not opened the chat. If you're trying to talk to me, I'm sorry. This might just become a one-way thing. But I'll read it later. So, say something. If you see something, say something. Oh, we're getting pretty creamy here. Yeah, it's like, I guess when it's dry, maybe it has more volume, because it seems like it's smaller than it was when I started. I'm going to do a little bit more water, because I kept having to add it anyway. So, let's see. Not too much more. So yeah, here's what it looks like. It's getting there. So I feel like sometimes it's like, right when you add some more water, you're like in the danger zone, where it's gonna get kind of like, can't stir it vigorously because there's like all this liquidy stuff on top. Ooh. I kind of want to eat this, maybe because I haven't eaten anything today. Don't eat it. Oh, this might be a little too liquidy, but lesson learned? I don't know. Well, maybe it'll perform a lot better on the table here, and I will be eating my words and not this. it's thickening up. Never mind. Yeah, I don't quite know how to tell when it's all mixed. Is it better to like mix it a lot? I don't think I can mix anymore. Like physically, I can't do it anymore. Yorp. Cool. Put this away. Convenient kitchen right over there. It's kind of runny. Let's see, what does it do on here? There's hair in it. Okay, I gotta get this hair. It's gonna drive me crazy. It feels good to wash your hands after touching this, because it's so kind of gritty. It looks okay. I feel like maybe I should spin it so that this side is closer to me. But also, I sort of remember all the things that I'm like, oh, I need to hit that point later. I'm wondering if I spin it, it'll just be like all backwards. Maybe I should like, let me finish up this side, this corner over here, and then we can actually rotate, because classic overthinking this. I feel like you just want it like just right enough where it's like doing what you want, but it's not gonna keep going. And we are pretty close to that right now. Hopefully it doesn't ooze as time goes by. Don't get more. There's stuff on the board. Work with what you have. Is this going to be like tremendously heavy? I keep saying tremendously. I wonder, this is in my mind right now. It's tremendously heavy, tremendously big, tremendously wet. I'm like feeling little sections that I didn't quite mix correctly. There's like little globs. I mean, not a big deal, honestly. What's nice about this is that you can sort of depend on the like bad workmanship, bad mixmanship, to give you some, you know, interesting texture that you might not be able to like. It's kind of like organic forms. Let's see, all the way to the edge. Make it look nice. The nice thing about making that model of Greece is that it's mostly coastline. So this stuff kind of naturally wants to slope in on the edges, and so that's kind of what a coastline does too. There was one little section, like the border with Turkey, where it's like just a line in the sand, so to speak. So that one I can't remember what I did. I don't think it was like I think I just like went all the way. I think I made the like European side of Turkey, but then not the Asian side or Middle Eastern side. I just painted it a different color. And the other thing was nice. I believe we had to paint everything based on climate and the grease is all Mediterranean, so it's just all one color. So the map, I don't know, looks better. It looks less like scientific and more just like an art piece. I think I need to spin it because it's getting a little hard to reach this far in now. You go in there. Let me rinse off real quick. Okay. Also, I should have probably put down a drop cloth because I'm on carpet right now, but again, hindsight. 2020. Maybe I'll keep one hand clean. One hand is not just covered in goo. It's definitely sticking to the board better. I hope that side over there remains sticky. Again, it's not going to endure that much stress as long as gravity keeps going this direction. We should be set. This little section is going to be tricky. There's lots of narrow, but you sort of want to make it harder for people to play. You sort of want to like make these little like hills and stuff a little steep, so it's like super duper hard to actually. Let's see. I wonder if kind of like lay this in here. Oh, masterpiece. Oh no, it's gonna go over. And my hands are sticky. Once I finish this up, we'll take out the little. There goes my cushion. So now my butt is sore. But yeah, once this is done, we'll get out the little circuit tester and just see how conductive this is, because it is quite salty. I don't know, is salt a conductor, or is it only when it's mixed with water? Because I feel like, I guess I've never been in like a pit of salt in a rain or in a thunderstorm and be like, should I not be here? When I was playing with the capacitor, or the capacitive touch thing, another issue I was running into originally was that, like, my idea was to take, whoa, don't talk, work. My idea was to put the LED strips on beneath this so that they'd be shining down and not, because I feel like it looks a little bit nicer when it's sort of reflecting off the bottom of the board instead of shining directly up into your eyes. But my concern was that because all this like conductive metal stuff is on the bottom of the board, that having the LED strips, which are even more conductive material, I was concerned that that might throw off my the kind of sensitivity of the capacitive touch, and indeed it did. With the original board, it was making it even more sensitive, and so basically I would turn it on and it was just constantly reading. It was like, yep, something's touching me, even when nothing was. I think just because there was so much metal. I think it's designed a little bit more for, um, like having a button that you can press without actually, like, like a waterproof thing, so you can kind of like press the button through some plastic. But anyway, with the new setup, it allows me to, again, calibrate it, so I can just, like, once it's all put together, I can just set the threshold. I can look at the little, like serial monitor, and it just gives me values for, like, what it's reading off of the capacitive touch circuit, I guess. And so I can be like, okay. So when I looked before, it was like, when I wasn't touching it, it was like around 100, and then when I got close to touching it, it was around 200, and then when I did touch it, it was more like 1,000. But like a gentle touch was more like 500. So I really wanted it to respond to even the slightest touch. And at this point, it's pretty much there. It doesn't respond if your fingernail touches it, which hopefully the players of this game do not figure out and exploit, because I guess your fingernails aren't really that conductive, or they're not quite as conductive as your skin is. And I'm also curious if this will need to be calibrated to each person, or maybe depending on the location that we shoot this in. I don't really know. There's many variables. I'm curious, but I think that's why it's good to have me there. Having the person who built the thing. Hopefully, if there's any issues, I can troubleshoot and adjust on the fly. Now I'm just going to kind of smush this a little bit closer to the edges here. I do kind of want to cover up that coppery, or it won't be copper because I will paint it, but it just looks kind of like ragged. I went through all that goo. That's surprising. I didn't think I would quite make that much, but here we are. And that's like, it's just completely different over there. It's wild. Some actual I wonder if I like dust it with flour to kind of give it like a nice matte. I don't know. I think it'll kind of the sheen on it. Again, it doesn't matter because I'm going to put the flocking on, those little like greeny grass fibers, and I might even kind of make the areas right around the graves like brown, like dirt, sort of like it's just been dug up. That'd be kind of fun. Is there anything I'm missing? We're doing pretty good. I don't think I would really want to go. I mean, it'd be nice to have a little bit more height to it, but I'm concerned that it'll, like this, won't be able to kind of hold that consistency. It won't be able to like hold its shape that high. But maybe we can add a little bit more, just for kind of some fun. But yeah, let me make sure the edges look good. And these transitions from the old to the new. Oh yeah, it looks nice. Man, the bleached flower and unbleached flower are almost the same color. I would imagine that bleach would be like really a lot whiter. But isn't like all white flour bleached? I'm not sure. Or maybe, I mean, like whole wheat's a little bit browner, but maybe that's just because it's the whole wheat. But yeah, bleached v unbleached. Like, the word bleached does not sound appetizing. But I'm not really seeing much difference here. Maybe it's a flavor thing. Or maybe it's like how the cookies bake or something like that. I'm not sure. I can't believe this is like 5 cups of flour. It really doesn't look like that much. This is wild. It's like almost an entire bag of flour on the table right here. Actually, I'm not sure. I should see how many cups are in a bag. Maybe 10? I know bags are usually measured in pounds. Okay, let's hold there for a minute. Okay, let's do some smoothing here. Yes, very nice. I feel like the smoothing works better on the thicker stuff. Thinner stuff, it just kind of is like, yep, I'm already kind of runny. It's like nothing right here. This would be like a little bare spot. Come on. I don't want it to be too smooth, but I do want to kind of get rid of like what looks like fingerprints and these kind of very rough sections. But put the cushion back on the seat and sit. Oh, nice. I imagine like what does this look like I'm doing? Like if you just started watching this and you have no idea like what this project is, you were too lazy to read the title. I mean the title's not super descriptive. It's like what even is that? I wasn't really sure what to call this. Yeah, what does it look like I'm building? Does it look like I'm making like some like hideous cake and frosting it with my fingers? I feel like if you're gonna frost with your fingers, at least it should look better than frosting with like tools. If you're gonna get your fingers all in it. I'm not making a cake. And I bet you couldn't even imagine what I'm making. Well, I guess. If you're like, oh, that doesn't look like food, that looks like a golf course almost. Like I'm making a mini golf course. These are the sand traps. That's actually kind of fun. That's a fun idea. Like maybe when this is done, I could just get rid of the tombstones and have like a mini golf course. I don't really have an actual plan for what to do with this after it's being used for a video shoot. I don't know if we'll continue doing this over and over again, if we'll need this like next Halloween, or if it'll sort of be like on to the next thing. I wonder if you could like, this is something fun you could do with this, I don't know, hang it on a wall, some ugly art. getting there. That's about as much as I can do, I think. I wonder if I like leave it overnight and then maybe kind of come in the morning and you know, get my fingers wet again and kind of smooth it at that point. Maybe it'll sort of have set up a little bit more, because yeah, sometimes some of this really runny stuff, it's pretty hard to smooth out without leaving little like soft peaks. It's very frosting like. But let's see, the stuff that's over here that's been drying for a little, oh yeah, this is really easy to smooth out, this old stuff. Although I can kind of feel like the top is dry and like underneath it's wet, so I wouldn't want to kind of shift it too much, but I should be able to kind of, I can smooth it out a bit more. Let's see, how's it looking? Man, it's pretty flat. It's pretty flat. I wonder if I do need a little bit more terrain in here. Let's see. Let's pretend we're playing the game. Okay, I'm playing the game. Gotta reach in. That's a tough one right there. This one will be easy. It's ribs. It has like a handle, ready to go. But some of these thin ones are gonna be tricky, which is the whole point. We don't want people to do it right. We want them to do it wrong. Watching someone do something right is not super fun. So this video should be the most fun thing in the world because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's very, it's like frosting. It's a little hard to kind of really smooth it out. Just kind of wants to travel. But yeah, if I want to make more, I think I need more salt. I don't think I have quite enough salt to make any more. This is, how many cups of salt is in here? 2.5 cups. Oh boy. How long does it take to actually eat that much? Maybe a year? Like, how often do I have to replace one of those, like, little cylinders of salt? I want to say it's more. It's less. Several years it takes to actually get through one of those things of salt. But yeah, I think I'm going to really just get it right up to the edges there of this copper stuff. I think that'll look nice. It's pretty goopy. I don't know. I feel like there's probably a perfect balance if I'd measured out a little bit better. Although the instructions did say just to measure the water out until it looked like clay. Which ends up not being the most helpful, because I'm like, clay can be a lot of different things. Like you want like Play-Doh, which is kind of almost like solid already. Overboard here. Yeah, it doesn't want to stick to the copper, unfortunately. I don't think I got any on the carpet. I think I somehow, knock on wood, somehow managed to not do that. It did get on the table a little bit, but I don't think this will be that hard to wash. Again, it's just flour and salt. just two things that are easy to wash. These are doing pretty good. Again, I think it'll probably ooze a bit, so you can maybe depend on the ooze to kind of smooth it out a bit more. This one needs quite a bit more on the edges, though. Down. That worked pretty well. Again, I keep finding these little techniques that work just for, but like the consistency is different everywhere on this board. So it's like, oh, it worked well for like a little bit, and then it kind of stops working. But yeah, kind of like just scraping it down to the edge. That works pretty well. Maybe I'll go back and do that over here. It's just too runny over there. See, it's just different. Stretch out. I'm glad that this, well now, I don't know. I can't tell what's in sync and what's not in sync anymore. That's pretty gloppy. So this, yeah, this side needs a little bit of water to kind of help smooth it. I'm hoping that the grass, the little green flocking, will really make this 100%. Although I haven't really worked with that material before, so your guess is as good as mine. From what I read, it seems like it just kind of does itself. Like it just kind of is like, oh yeah, just naturally wants to be really even. But then you read some things where it's like, oh yeah, I ionized all the particles. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I guess it's like if you charge the particles in some way, they will, you know, kind of like static charge will hold them onto the thing, which might make the little blades of grass like stand up instead of just being kind of flat. So I did think about it, just like add a little bit of realism that is not all that necessary for this, because honestly most of this game will be seen in the dark. We have some night vision cameras. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Getting up those edges here. Yeah, as long as there's just some particles on the edges, just to kind of hold the paint on, honestly, as well. Can't ask for anything more than that. It's crazy. It's just flour. Maybe tomorrow I'll go through and also just like make sure that all these contacts are clean, because on the top, definitely want it covered in flour. On the inside, absolutely not. We want it as clean and polished as possible so that any little touch will trip it. can keep fiddling forever. I'm gonna have to call it quits at some point, just to like let it do its thing, man. It's gotta dry. It's very frosting like over there again. Will more water help or make it worse? It kind of makes it worse. So yeah, I think now it's a waiting game. So let me go wash my hands. So yeah, I think that's kind of it for now. Now it's just going to be a waiting game. I think I'll have a fan blowing this overnight, and in the morning we'll see how dry it is. If it's, I doubt it'll be completely dry, but I think it will be a lot closer. At least the top will have kind of a skin on it, and I think I can, take a wet finger and really kind of smooth out some of these. See, I'm going to keep fussing. Oh, I should have gotten my finger wet first. Oh yeah. Oh. Maybe, yeah, let's do it now. I'll do something now. Has to be pretty wet though. I don't want it too smooth. Gotta know when to stop. Not my strong suit. Ooh. It's like I feel like you kind of get your fingers wet and like it makes like a little, like a layer of kind of a runnier substance that kind of protects the stuff underneath from getting too messed up. Then it starts getting sticky again. Just add a little bit more water. Where's it looking really ready? I guess I could put it in the oven too, maybe at like a super low temp. But again, like why heat up the whole house with an oven when I could just maybe leave it outside in the sun? I think even if it like starts cracking, not a big deal. We'll just fill in those cracks a little bit more. And it might, who knows? What if it like cracked in like an awesome way where it's like the graveyard after the earthquake, after the big one. After the big one, the ground opened up and the zombies were free to go. I feel like if I can do it now, I will, because I don't really know what the what are my options later. Don't know. This might kind of be it. Ready? These sections over here are a little tough. The worst thing would be if it all just like completely ran off the board. I think I'll put a drop cloth under it. I don't really know what to expect from this thing. So, just in case it just completely liquefies and just goes like, I don't want it making a huge mess. This is looking nice. Let's see, how's it looking from above? Oh, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty consistent, honestly. Sorry you had to watch me do that. I'm not paying that much attention to the production of this. It's like, I feel like live streaming is like one of those things, it's just a little too much work for one person, unless you're very used to it. Which I clearly am. I'm so natural and comfortable in front of the camera. It's like, are you a famous actor? No, I'm not. Isn't that crazy? Just want to take what's looking fingerprinty. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Yeah. Whoa. I'm dripping. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna call it quits there. So, yeah. Thanks for maybe tuning in, checking this out. More to come later. Probably we'll come back after this section is dry and spend some time applying the LED elements to the underside of this. It'll be a lot of fun. So, see you then.